Hey, Hansi, good morning.
Hello, hello. Good morning or evening in Finland.
Oh, good. Okay, so you're based in Finland, is it?
Yep, yep.
Okay. So will you be traveling for OCP also?
Sorry.
Will you be attending the OCP? OCP Global Summit in San Jose?
Oh, right, right. Yeah, yeah. We are actually planning on participating.
Okay,
Thank you for the invite.
sure. So wait for 2, 3 minutes and then start.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. This is Juha calling in.
Hi, Joa.
Hello.
Good morning, good evening.
Hello.
Hi, Shraddha. I started a template for the meeting minutes. I hope that's not confusing for you.
No, it's fine, fine. Yeah, yeah. You want me to share my screen and take the notes?
But the main point is we would like Fusion to go at the top of the meeting.
Correct,
because
correct, correct.
that works for them.
Is here. Okay. Okay, just wait for 1 more minute and then start. Okay, it's 5 minutes past hour, so let's get started. Hi, Joe. Okay, so welcome to the TSC meeting. We have agenda as the first item is from presentation by Fusion Layer. First, I would like to introduce both Ansi and Juha, who are from Fusion Layer, to the TSC. Welcome to the TSC call, Ansi and Juha. It's an open meeting. You can join any week, anytime.
Yeah, thanks.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to set the context before we proceed. So
No.
they had been, Asim has been like very supportive of engaging with all our general members, and he's been discussing with Fusion Layer, and they have expressed their interest to bring in Secure CTP as part of our blueprint activities that are there. And this discussion is about that particular topic. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, maybe just a brief summary of what we discussed with Asim and how we ended up in this call. So basically, there's one thing that Ansi actually has been working on is the validation of the STTP client with different DPUs, and he started out with the NVIDIA's Bluefield chip, but I think what we talked about, we actually attended one TSC, I think in May time frame. And at that point, we were actually also talking about maybe, well, two things really. The other one was to actually, kind of validate and migrate the STTP client on all the different DPUs and IPUs. So, also Intel, AMD, possible others as well. That was one thing, and that's something that Ansi has been working on. And then what Asim actually told us also is a blueprint that is actually between Intel, F5, and Red Hat. So basically, the idea is that you have the Intel IPU, and then you start running Nginx on it, and then Red Hat orchestrates it. And actually, what we can do with Xverse, and we briefly talked about this the last time around with Red Hat as well, but what we can actually do is, once we have the STTP client running on the Intel IPU, so we can actually first do the onboarding of that IPU. So kind of, use the STTP magic to accomplish that. But actually, because our product also, we have a service catalog, and we've actually onboarded Nginx into it already. So what we can actually also do is we can deploy that Nginx automatically on zero-touch basis on that IPU. And then once it's there, it's up to Red Hat to orchestrate it as they do that thing. But we were basically saying, and what I told Asim is that, well, perhaps we could join it so that we could actually do the STTP onboarding for the IPU, and then just drag and drop the Nginx engine into that IPU, and then it would be over to Red Hat to actually do the, let's say, the operational orchestration side of it. So that's actually what we discussed. And then he said, well, come to TSC and tell everyone what you have in mind. So this is basically it, I suppose.
Thanks, Juha. Any comments from anybody?
Yeah, I'm commenting, but I was on mute. Sorry about that. Hi, this is Paul Pindell. So I'm with F5. And one of the questions, been working on this blueprint. One of the questions I have is, so you've got via the SZTP client Nginx in the catalog, and you can drop that on whatever operating system is running on that catalog. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, exactly.
Or running on that IPU or DPU?
Yeah, exactly.
Have you gotten to the point where SZTP is actually installing, say, an operating system?
Well, it's actually not STTP. So what happens is we do onboarding with STTP, and then I think the guys, Ansi can actually explain this in further detail, but I think we're actually using standard Linux tools to actually then just install like Nginx, for example. We've also done like stuff like private 5G and whatnot. So it's basically anything can be onboarded. But the thing is actually, from our perspective, like for example, if you deploy Nginx, it's actually the DPUs, the operating system in them. It's basically pretty standard variety Linux. So we can automate the installation. So you get the onboarding, and then you get the service you want. And then it's up to, you can manage it well manually, obviously, but also with orchestrators like Red Hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
just to comment that yeah, actually the installation of the Nginx is done via the SZTP. So there isn't.
Oh,
like,
it is okay. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
no need for like external tools.
Okay, we are more advanced than I thought. Does that answer you, Paul?
Well, yeah, it does. I mean, the blueprint that we've been working on and developing, and we've shown that it works on the Intel card and also on the Marvell card so far, is that we wave our hands and say that we've used SZTP to get basically an IP address on the card and credentials and things so we can connect to the card. We haven't actually done that in the demo, but we know that it's worked in the past. Then we use Redfish, is what the mechanism is to put an operating system, reboot the card. And that operating system is at this point a RHEL 9.4, 9.6, I can't remember which, on the card. And then we install what's called microshift as a RPM. And that microshift is joins an OpenShift cluster that exists outside of the DPU, IPU, and the host. The host then joins that cluster as well, having OpenShift installed on it as a worker. And then there's a DPU operator with pieces that sit on the host and on the client, and it communicates across the PCIe bus. And that's where things like configuring the network parameters of the card. So making sure that physical function X can talk across the PCIe bus in whatever language that card needs.
Yeah, and that's the OpenShift part, right?
Yes, that's the OpenShift DPU operator part.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, we actually, I think we talked about this like in May timeframe, and I think Red Hat was talking, participating in the dialogue, and we were actually talking where kind of their orchestration starts and our ends.
Yes.
And I think actually, based on your description, then what we can do with SZTP is we can do the first part, and then I think we can do pretty much this Redfish part as well using SZTP. But then, from the kind of configuration setting and, the OpenShift part onwards, that's something, we haven't even tried to do. So that's kind of something over to others. But, if you're open to like using SZTP to, kind of get things set up sort of to the point where you can start configuring things and, doing those types of things, then we can actually do it with SZTP.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see how it works.
Yeah.
And see where we could make that dividing line.
Yeah. And actually, one thing we also agreed to, so because there's the OPI summit or the meeting in October in San Jose, so we actually we will be paying Anssi to come over there, so he can like do a presentation or whatever. That's what Asim actually asked, and we kind of okayed his expenses for that, so he's coming over. So since actually Anssi has been working in the OPI lab anyways with the DPUs and stuff. So, I mean, one possibility is that if you guys are interested in seeing it, it could be like a, hands-on sort of demo as well at the, event. Anssi could show how that happens. So if that's something you would like to see.
I mean, I'd like to see it. I think we're going to talk after this meeting about the schedule, right?
Yeah.
Regard for the OPI summit.
Yes. Sorry, I was speaking on mute.
Oh yeah. So
yeah. Okay. Well, but anyway, if the demo, if it's too soon, then it's too soon. But anyway, so Asim asked if someone from our end would be coming, and since Anssi has been working on the SZTP client a lot. So I asked, well, do you want to go? And he said that he'd love to. So we
Okay.
sponsor him there.
Yeah, I think that would be very good. So I'm from Red Hat, and my colleague Balaz from Red Hat will be at the face-to-face event. So I think it'll be very good to talk to him there. I will pass on the contents of this meeting to him. I think generally from Red Hat's perspective, the reason that Redfish has been used so far is that from Red Hat customer point of view, we see that as fitting well into the way that that they will deploy things. So that's kind of why we've been focusing on today. What I'm trying to say is, I think that there's probably room for ZTP. I'm not entirely sure how that sits with our customers, but that's sort of a conversation that's sort of orthogonal to OPI.
Yeah.
And I'm also kind of a little bit unsure about how it fits at a technical level with the current solution, just because it hasn't really been explored so far. So these are the questions I will ask Balaz when I talk to him next.
I think there's actually at least one thing that comes to mind is probably, I would presume, well, I don't presume, I kind of, I'm educated guessing. So I would actually say that probably majority of the, people who run OpenShift, they do it on-prem, right? Or, they're kind of operating that themselves.
Yes, that would be the
Actually, yeah. And actually what we are doing is we are providing, this as a service.
Yep.
So, from that perspective, I think there's two ways you can go. If you want to get the SFTP onboarding as a service, you can get it from us. You can get the devices onboarded, and then you can, kind of basically install or upload whatever system components or functions you want to in them. And then, because usually once you've installed the functions, you can have like VPN or SSH or whatever, and then you can connect it to your kind of enterprise orchestration and stuff like that. So it's kind of, you get to that point with us, and then you go on from there with like the type of gear that you guys have. Then at the same time, if you're a customer who does everything on-prem, then obviously we are a service. So then it might be that you might want to go the the Redfish way. So I can actually see
Right.
use cases for both actually.
Yes, I think we're on the same page there. So yes, I so I put my OPI hat back on and try to do two things at the same time here. I welcome this kind of collaboration, and I hope we can move forward. And,
Yeah, there was actually we just did or commissioned a survey. So it was EMA, Enterprise Management Associates. They actually surveyed, it was about 200 enterprises in North America and in Europe. And it was actually about edge, and it was about AI factories, and that's where DPUs come in and stuff like that. So we kind of did that, and the results were actually, there was like almost like a 50-50 split between people who wanted to do things on their own, and then others who actually wanted to get it like a service type of thing. So I think there's actually, if the goal is to actually get as much traction for DPUs and IPUs as possible, I think at the end of the day, then it's good that you can either, you basically have a blueprint to go either way. You can do it yourself, host it in your DC within your enterprise, kind of parameters, or you can start off as a service as well. So I think
and that's why I hesitated to answer your question. If OTP is mainly used on-prem, because it's a similar story. There are different people who use it different ways.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's actually edge is something that is kind of if you're setting up new edge nodes and they pop up wherever, then you need to onboard them over the internet. Whereas if you're doing it in existing DCs or existing sites, then you probably already have the the enterprise one connectivity to that place, and you can actually do it from your own managed system. So it could be either, I think.
Yes.
I don't know that I want to get too deep in the weeds here, but is there a change needed on the cards themselves as they ship from the factory to enable this? So you ship a card, a server and a card, it arrives at your factory floor or at your kiosk at the edge, and it needs to communicate back to this managed service. Is there something you've got to do first?
Well, you need the HTTP client. That's the thing. So, without the client, of course, it doesn't work. And one thing we've been actually thinking about trying to do this fall is to actually try to commit the HTTP client, because we published as Apache 2.0. So, kind of push it to upstream. So maybe to Fedora, to, Debian, maybe SUSE, Linux, so that it actually would be there. So that, because from our perspective, if we look at, like, say, NVIDIA Bluefield, it's actually, from where we are looking at it, it looks very much like Ubuntu Linux, actually. So then if you actually were in a position where Ubuntu Linux would have HTTP clients in it by default, in the same way as, devices have DHCP clients these days, then, it actually doesn't really need anything to be installed on it. But it's kind of something that would need to be sorted out first. So for being, it's either, the DPU or the IPU manufacturers would have to add the HTTP client onto their, kind of the OS that runs on the chip when you pre-install.
Right. So you'd have to have the SZTP client there, and it would have to be in some way configured to
connect the
connect
connection
to your I'm just wondering how it gets that initial IP address if there's no DHCP server.
That's actually something you can do on gateway level. So, when you set up the network, you would typically, you have the router or whatever device you have there, and you configure it so that basically, if I have a VLAN in which, a new DPU, or it actually could be any device, but in this case, a DPU boots up. So then, the network device will see, the broadcast if it's v4, and then it has a relay IP configured into it. So it just passes it on to our service. So you need to configure the network device the first time you take that, VLAN into use, but that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, you could either get the Bootstrap server IP from the DHCP, or, for example, a config file that is already included on the device.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you could go either way. Yeah, true.
But yeah, sorry if I'm disturbing. I was just actually meaning to ask about the OPI lab, about, for example, the Bluefield 2 DPU has a README, which includes flushing a new BFB image. But the README doesn't really state what that means in, like, practice. I know it flashes like a new image, like a new OS, so to speak, but is that enough to reset the device to start testing again, or do you need to do additional steps to get everything working like it was before? Or I think, for example, the Bluefield was running Telegraph, so do you need to install that separately and so on?
The Bluefield was running what?
Telegraph. I think it was,
yeah. So it was sending telemetry and stuff to Telegraph. I think we'd have to reach out to whoever set that up last, and that is probably either Mircea or Boris. I'm not certain how it was set up.
Yep. So basically, like, the question is, if I get, like, stuck, is there, like, anybody that I could, like, contact for technical help?
That is an excellent question. It's at this point, the only folks. So Boris has changed roles within his company, so he's no longer working on this area of technology. So he's not been contributing and managing the lab like he was. Boris was from Dell, or he's still at Dell. He's just in a different job now. And at least I think he's still there. I haven't talked to him.
So sorry, this is Joe White from Dell. Boris is absolutely still at Dell. I mean, I'm obviously in regular contact with him. If you have some specific thing, you can contact me, Joe White, and I can basically ask Boris to help on spot things. And
Okay, perfect.
I'm sure he could do that. So like I say, we can like if something's like, why in the heck was it done that way, or this really isn't clear, send me an email, and we can find out from Boris why it was done that way, or what the underlying reasoning is, or how that part works, and then so we can get you that help even from Boris.
Great, thank you.
If Mark Sanders is no longer with Dell, he's with another company, and he was also involved in some of the code reviews and that sort of thing. I can also reach out to him. I mean, we can get help from him as well. So we can access both of those guys if there's some specific questions about why it's done that way, or what the intent was, or how to work with that part of the system. And don't feel constrained by the way it is now if you want to change it, or I guess that's not my call anymore. But I think everyone would agree that, hey, if there's a better way to do it, let's do it that way. Propose it, let's do it that way.
I would agree. So
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Anssi may have been a bit worried about having to conserve the environment. So
yeah, of course, like it's been already set up, so don't want to break anything before actually improve.
Yeah, no, I get it.
No, you should definitely understand before you make changes. But if you don't feel constrained by the way it was done before, those guys have like people said, those guys have other roles now, or even other companies. So don't feel obligated by that history. Use that history, learn from it, and but don't feel obligated by it.
Right.
All right, cool.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, just maybe a thing for the future, but I was just wondering if I make, for example, a pull request for the repo, is there anybody like commenting or approving those requests?
Yeah, I think that's even later on our agenda, or it might or might not be, but I wanted to put it on the agenda for this week, is that because people have moved roles within companies and moved companies, we are down to one maintainer right now. So Artec is the one active maintainer. But so yes, there is, and we just have to realize that there's one maintainer and he has to manage it all as well as his day job.
Thank you.
Just looking at the how to commits and looking at things like the linters that look at the code and making sure you do a signed off by, and all of those good things are, if you address those on your own before requesting Artec review a merge, a PR, that'll be helpful to him. So he doesn't have to come back and say, hey, it didn't pass this linter, and then you've got to go fix it. Just look at the linters and make sure that it passes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always good to have multiple people to look at what you have done. Is it actually helpful?
Yeah, it's helpful. So,
but yeah, good points.
So do we want to move to that topic, Paul?
I think, are we done with this one? If we are done with this one, yes, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. I have another thing, so I'll be jumping off now. But like I said, we can discuss the blueprint in further detail, and then also actually, if you are short of hands, then I don't mind, or we as a company don't mind, if Anssi puts a bit of bandwidth into this. So if there's something you'd like him to do, or contribute a bit, that's fine for us. So
perfect. I will not say no.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, but great. I'll jump off. But thanks for this, and talk to you guys later.
All right. Thank you much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So Paul, would your idea be to expand the maintainers?
Yeah, I think we need to expand the list of maintainers, just because it's a big it's a big load to put on one person, and having one person, we found this out with when Murcha was on vacation for 2.5 weeks, that there was no one to track down and do things for the lab. So if Artek goes on leave for a bit, then there's no one to do any maintaining, and that's just not a place we want to be. So I think we need to add some maintainers to the list. I don't know. I mean, I know what the process is. We go in and put their credentials in the maintainers list that is maintained, but I don't know how or who is responsible for vetting who can be a maintainer.
Maybe Joe remembers how it was done last time.
Yeah, it was folks with skill were given the and time were given the role of maintainer. Like,
it was
silly them, they gave me the role of maintainer for some things, and I'm just not a GitHub. I'm not a GitHub maintainer. That is not my skill set. So they took it away from me.
Yeah, the way it was done before is we had volunteers step up and we voted them in. So it was just, hey, ask people to volunteer, and did they understand the tool, GitHub itself, sufficiently, and did they have either general coding experience or even specific on DPUs? And we went yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
So you have the power to just solicit and have people volunteer or apply, but there's not a real application process. They basically just volunteer, and then a simple does anybody object vote is enough to make them a maintainer. And you should probably do it in consult. You should probably talk to Artek and do it in consult with him. But other than that, there's no heavy formal process for putting someone in a maintainer role.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I will ask at Red Hat to find a volunteer, which maybe increase from 1 to 2, but
Yeah.
I guess I encourage the other members to do likewise, to try to solicit some new maintainers.
And I think I heard that, Ansi, were you voluntold that you might want to volunteer for this? Was that what I heard earlier?
Well, I don't mind helping out. However, I'm still very new to the OPI and to the lab itself. So
that's fine.
Yeah.
So in case I'm not there, I mean, I volunteer for the lab confidential and POC repos. For those, I can be a maintainer.
Okay.
I assume I am, but in case I'm not, I volunteer for these 3.
Which I don't think you are if I look at the maintainers list. I think it's Mark Sanders, who's no longer doing this. Boris and Artek are the three maintainers listed, and then someone's got emeritus status from way back when.
Right, and for Mark and Boris, we never removed them as maintainers, and technically Boris could still do a pull request review and promotion. Like I say, because he's still at Dell.
Right.
So figure out what you want to do, and I can talk to Boris and Mark, and I can also find out if Mark has any interest in this at all in his new role. Even if he's not, for his company is not formally part of this, I'll send him a text message and ask him, and then I'll ask Boris as well. I assume I know the answer, but let me ask before I speculate.
Got it.
Okay, thank you. I think we should also update the maintainers. I think people who aren't active should change their status.
I agree. I agree. And like I said, we can, I'm sure Mark and Boris will be fine with that. That's one of the things I will ask them.
Perfect. Thanks.
Paul, if you need one more, if you don't have enough people, I'm happy to help.
Okay.
Well, you're in. Okay. So Paul, maybe I guess we make a pull request, and then we can have a simple confirmation at the TSC of any changes.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a pull request. Maybe you could just.
I think it would be a pull request. I mean, it's simply a pull request against the maintainers list. But as Joe was saying, you or someone should coordinate with Artec and get his since he's the one active maintainer, we ought to, get his input.
Okay, I reach out to him and I give him a summary of what we discussed.
Perfect.
Yeah, try and get some input from him.
And then I think it's and then I think the process would be vote on it at the TSC who we want to add to the list, and then assign someone to make that pull request, and then have Artec approve it.
Sounds good.
Paul, I think the role as a maintainer is still only Boris, if I'm right.
As I went back and looked at it just recently, and
I'm just sharing the screen. We have this team as OPI maintainers. If I shortlist, restrict to only role as maintainer, I only see one. In OPI maintainers team, we have all the three. Oops. If I remove this thing. See, I see all the three what that you mentioned, but if I just restrict the role to only maintainer, then I see only Boris.
All right, so we need to ask Boris to change the roles of Artec at least. Okay, that's a logistics problem.
So if any changes that are required, if your TSC approves or any changes, I can do that.
Okay. Are you you manage that page then on Git?
Yes. So I'm one of the owners of this thing.
Okay. I thought it was simply what was listed in the maintainers file, maintainers.md file somewhere.
Yeah, even I thought, but if I go and look at it, I think it's surprisingly it's only one person has a role as maintainers.
Okay, so I think once we agreed on the maintainers and we update the maintainers MD file, and then Sridhar can update the GitHub roles to match the maintainers file.
Perfect.
Correct.
Yeah.
See, currently these are the owners that you are seeing in this thing.
Yep.
So and maybe this is why I'm not a maintainer, because
Yes, maybe Boris should be removed, but let's let Joe talk to Boris first.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, in summary, if we can agree on what are the changes needs to be done, so do we want to initiate this call for volunteers to become a maintainer? How do we start this process now?
Well, I think I heard Swati mentioned as someone. Murcha said he would volunteer for POC and lab, and probably lab private maintainer for those 3 repos.
Okay.
And then
and maybe somebody who are not there in the call can also respond. Maybe we can put in some specific Slack channel, because ours is a paid channel. We can keep it restricted.
So you mean put the call out in Slack or to create a Slack channel? the main. Yeah, maybe the general channel is the right place.
Or whatever TSC agrees. I think it should be okay for the general channel. It's okay. Let volunteers come in, and Joe said we
Yeah,
can
I
have a
agree with
simple lesson.
Yeah. Can you handle that, Sridhar? Can you put a call out in the general?
Sure.
Okay. And I will also ask at Red Hat, see if we have anyone who wants to step up.
I mean, I would imagine that Balazs would be very capable of doing that, whether or not he wants to add it to his test list.
Skills. Yes, this is what I'm thinking, but let us find out what he thinks about.
Yeah.
Okay, based on the responses, next week TSC can approve, and once we have that approval from TSC, then I will do the modifications in the GitHub.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
Anything else?
Yeah, this is Miles. I'm gonna be out for a number of weeks in October, and I'd like to make it official that Swati will be covering for me and be the delegate for the Intel TSCC.
Okay.
And there's no H in her name.
Oh, this is a classic Indian problem.
Sorry.
Depending on which part of India you come from.
Okay.
Also, sorry for the maybe off topic, but in the first topic, section 3, I think that talk was about deploying the Nginx using a ZTP, not a FTP.
Oh.
Just a small correction, but if somebody reads this later, they are going to be like, "What?"
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, maybe I'm using too much of TPs now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Small but important correction.
Yeah.
Correct. No, that's big. Okay.
Okay, I think we're good. Let's move on to the blueprint topic number 3.
Okay. Anything to add?
Is there any update on this poll?
The update I have is that we don't. I think the DHCP server has somehow rebooted itself or gotten screwed up, and that means that many of the devices lost their IP address and are not accessible right now. So, Mircea, you put in a ticket, I think, to Hurricane Electric.
Yes, I'm working with HE. I have a ticket with them. We added a KVM dongle to the server to see what it is, and then we're gonna try to re-IP the KVM console so we can access it. And also understand what was the mistake in the design, why the KVM console went down.
Right.
That should have been a static IP. Yeah.
Good. So, yeah, that's the status. So the Intel version was done. The Marvell version of the blueprint has been done in a different lab space and shown to be working, but it hasn't been done in the OPI lab. And we're kind of up against, the OPI summit. If any of the sessions are intending to show the OPI lab, we need to get it back up and running. And we know there's the folks from Red Hat and Marvell want to get it running in the OPI lab as well, but they're unable to access the server on which the Marvell card is located.
Okay, but it is working somewhere.
It is working. I think it's Thomas has it working somewhere.
Okay, probably in Raleigh.
Yeah,
very good.
That's my latest understanding of what's happening there.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Sridhar, do we have anything else today?
No, this is the only thing. So we'll be finalizing soon after this call. There are some minor changes that we need to discuss and finalize the schedule. Schedule will be finalized and made public soon.
Okay, yeah, we will meet immediately after.
We have around 20-25 registrations for now. I think from tomorrow, the marketing will go full swing. I think to reach out to every possible. So
they're waiting for the schedule to do that. Is that the?
No, yeah, kind of both.
Okay.
Anyway, it's fair point, right? Once the schedule is finalized, because they will create a kind of a template and reach out to speakers to fill the template, and they will keep like promoting each and every speaker in LinkedIn. So we just need a final schedule for that.
Got it.
So my request to those who are in the call, please promote among your friends this event so that we will attend it. Okay. Anything else? Anybody? If not, I request Swati, Paul, and Simon to stay on. I will stop the recording.
I can do that.
Yes, no problem.
Others, thank you so much. See you next week.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. See you.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, just a second. I need to take the. Well, Paul, you're the host. You haven't claimed the host. Let me claim host and stop the recording.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. Yep. I am the host now.
Sorry, I need to take a quick phone call.
Sure. Pause or stop recording. Stop recording. Okay. Save it. Yes. Save it.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm back now.
No problem. Yeah. Okay. So I have bad news and good news. So let me start with the bad news first. See, all the sessions got confirmed. For this DPU, whoever we selected, we picked 5, right?